Jarita, as you know, I get asked all the time about how people can make a career shift on the island. So people start out maybe working as accountants, and then they wake up one day and decide, I want to be a vet. And it's quite frustrating. It's hard for people to make these moves. So thanks so much for joining me on the couch and sharing your experience, because you've been through this where you've made a complete career change. So thank you. Let's get started straight to it. I think it would be helpful if people could understand what you did before in your earlier career, and then we can talk through sort of your transition.
Absolutely. So thanks for having me, Steph, and I'm happy to kind of share my career transition. So I started in a creative space. Way back when I was in college, university, I studied advertising and design. And I always worked in marketing and kind of promotions. Did that for about 12 years. And then I had a aha moment or a COVID moment where I said, okay, I need some change, ready to try something new, take on a new challenge. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a quick bio to my career journey so far.
Because you were a graphic designer, weren't you, as well?
Yeah, I did some design work, did some marketing, spent some time working for tourism, one summer in New York,
What? Wow.
worked for Hallmark in Toronto.
Wow.
But the last 12 years, I was working in Bermuda, doing consumer goods marketing for some big brands.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Sorry, you look about 20. So when you say you've done all these things, I'm like, when did you do them? That's awesome. So you've worked outside of Bermuda and back in Bermuda. So obviously everyone was affected with COVID. It made us all kind of, take a little step back and think, what are we doing with our lives?
Yep.
So what were the different industries that you looked into to make the change? What were you thinking?
So I've always kind of like been on the fence, kind of curious about international business. I have a cousin who she's actually an accountant, and she's been in the space for quite a while. And for years, she's been like, "Come on over." I was like, "I'm not too sure." But then, once COVID happened, and I start kind of thinking, I said, "Okay, let me see." And so I really had to do some research, started chatting with professionals to see how I can kind of take the skills that I have and take them over to international business and what would be a good fit for someone like me.
So you did some research, chatted to some folks, and decided, right, okay, I'm going to look at insurance and see if I can make a move over there.
Yeah.
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 So how can you talk us through? So you've decided, okay, I'm going to make a move. I'm finished where I am. I'm ready for this. I'm going to look at insurance, and I know this is where I want to explore. So what was the first things you started doing when you started looking for a new job?
So I was doing the traditional applying to job ads, sending in cover letter and resume. And I was doing that for a little while, and I realized that I really wasn't getting much traction. I wasn't getting any interviews. And on LinkedIn, you can see how many people have applied for a role. 200 people. Why are they going to choose me? So I kind of had to stop and pause and reevaluate how I was applying for these roles.
How did it feel then when you decided, right, that's it, I'm making a move, I'm awesome, I'm applying, and you're getting kind of rejections, or were you even hearing back from companies?
Mixed emotions. Sometimes I would see a role, get excited. Oh yeah, I can do this. And it's interesting because some companies they would be quite they will be communicating the whole process through. Others, like the way how I would find out I didn't get the job is when I saw someone announce that they are starting at a new company on LinkedIn. So it was quite a roller coaster, up and downs. But yeah.
Yeah, I hear a lot of stories about that as well, where people apply for jobs and they don't hear back, and then they find out someone else gets it. And so it's definitely tough, which is why we're talking today, because I know a lot of people are in this boat. So some people, when this happens, they get kind of frustrated with the system, and they kind of just they give up. So what did you do then? So you're facing this situation. So what did you decide to do to continue?
Yeah, I said, look, I got to break the rules because I'm not getting anywhere. I could say I put my resume like on the back burner, and I just start connecting with people, reaching out, having conversations, and kind of learning more about their role, and building relationships. So first, just start talking to people anywhere, in different circles. Expand. From your usual circle, meet people that you don't normally talk to.
A while ago, we didn't really have access to, like you mentioned, you just speak to people, reach out to people. So let's talk about LinkedIn, because this is an amazing platform that job seekers can use now, and it gives you access. So yeah, can you talk to us about how you leverage LinkedIn to kind of get out there?
Absolutely. So, like, LinkedIn is your best friend. I kind of put all other social media platforms on the back burner and utilize LinkedIn. So, the great thing is you can find out who anybody is and where they work and connect with them. Reach out. Hey, are you willing to have a chat with me for 15 minutes? Let me know what you do and a little bit about the company and organization you work for. People don't say no. They're more than happy to kind of, walk you through their day to day. So, connect with people. And also, like, LinkedIn is like your live visual resume, right? Post content. I posted a lot of things about what I was up to, what I was studying, any events or seminars that I was going to that was directly related to the insurance industry. And, I've chatted with some people. Some people are kind of fearful to put themselves out there. They're kind of maybe scared that their employer might be watching. But I say, if that is your scenario, talk about the good things you're doing at your role. And even outside of your role, talk about what you're doing in the community, any hobbies. For example, if you're in IT, why not talk about, cyber, or even talk about AI? Like, that's the whole buzz now. So it's kind of, you're using a little bit of discretion there, but still talking about what you do. If you're in healthcare, talk about healthcare insurance. So you kind of have to problem solve and figure out how you can be, what's the word I'm looking
Like kind
for?
of active on there, but
Yeah.
not waving your resume from Front Street.
Exactly. Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a powerful tool.
It is. It all is awesome, and I was definitely active in terms of seeing. They go, God, where's Dorita at now? The networking, she's doing this, and I was like, oh, do her bosses know and things? But it's like, the end of the day, you've got to take a certain element of risk if you want to kind of make this change.
Absolutely.
And it's a fantastic tool. There's jobs that get posted a lot more on LinkedIn for Bermuda companies now. So you're applying for jobs or you're speaking to people. Did it ever come up, the qualification issue, because like your background not sort of relevant and things? So can you talk to us more about whether that came up and how you handled that?
Insurance, you can learn insurance. And most people that I spoke with kind of, reiterated that. And, from my experience, you can learn on the job. There is quite a mix of people in the space, some with, quite an extensive, insurance and risk educational background. And a lot of people got into it by mistake and they learned on the job. So, yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. You will have to work harder to get a place in a role. Absolutely. Be prepared for that. But anybody can learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it definitely, when you're making the shift and you're going for potentially an entry level role, because people will ask me, should I do an ARE? Should I do a CPCU? And it's a big investment for someone to do. And the right company, I've found, will pay it. They will support you. And then when you're actually working in the role, doing those designations, it kind of makes more sense as well. So I found over the years there's some other courses you can do, like insurance essentials, like introduction, where it's not a huge investment.
Yeah.
But it's a way of putting it on your resume to say, hey, I'm serious about getting into this. So I just wondered, because I do find that sometimes I think companies will use that as an excuse. Oh, you don't have this kind of. But I think the right companies will just hire for work ethic, common sense, integrity, getting things done, and we're seeing more and more of that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I think the other area I wanted to chat about is like, did you make any changes to your CV or your resume through the process?
Yeah, I made some changes. I tried to focus on the skills I had rather than kind of every role that I had. You have to be kind of careful with making changes with your resume because you'll get a lot of opinions from everybody. And then you have 97 versions of your resume, right?
Yeah.
But I really see the resume as a formality at the end of a process when you're about to get your job offer. But I think it's more so about building relationships and what type of person are you? Can you fit into this organization? Do you have a good attitude? Are you a go-getter? I think those are more important than the resume. The resume is important, but who you are as an individual plays a huge role.
Yeah. I think that's such an important piece of information that people kind of need to understand, and also employers as well, that they will look at a resume and put someone in a box and decide quite quickly, whereas I know that if they have 30 seconds with someone, they will see the shining stars and what have you. So I think that's probably what you picked up on, that you need to be out there more. People need to see you and Jarena and like see past kind of like the formalities as such. But it is all important, isn't it? You've got to have preparing for interviews, you've got to have the resume, you've got to know who to apply to. You can't just have the best resume and expect to get the jobs. Can you talk to us about how it was juggling sort of, you've got a full-time job and then interviews and things? Can you talk to us a little bit about how fun that was?
So my whole journey, I guess, was about 14 months. And so at the time, I had a demanding full-time job. And actually, I was working the second job too. I forgot about that. I was working the second job, cleaning offices at night. And I was doing a few courses. And then I was taking time to meet professionals. And I had to manage my work calendar as well as, my personal calendar. So I had to be organized. I was running all around town, parking, getting parking tickets while on coffee dates with professionals, changing my clothes in the back of my car, in public restrooms, to go on interviews. And I had to switch gears from full-time job to talking to someone on a coffee date. And I think the key was just being organized. You go to a coffee date, have your questions prepared. I used to write my questions down in a notebook, and I would get to the coffee date and I would open my book and have my questions right there. And that's like, oh, who's this girl? She's organized. So, kind of small little tips and tricks like that to make sure that, you showcase how awesome you are.
Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of effort. People mention it's actually a full-time job looking for a new job.
Yeah, it is.
I had someone recently at one of the workshops that I held who actually took a day off work to come to one of my workshops. That's how invested she is to make this change. Did you ever take any time off to help with the search?
Yes. Utilize your vacation days. I mean, everybody,
sounds crazy, but
yeah. I mean, you want to take a trip and you want to, sit off in a beach with a pool boy fanning you. But I took some time off. I attended a risk summit, and I also took a week off. I did a work shadow at Inverie. Yeah, so utilize your vacation days. And I know when I went through the application process, the fact that I did a work shadow for a week put me at the top of the list. So if you can get an organization to agree to that, sign up. Yeah.
There's lots of companies that kind of open to that, I find. You just need to kind of ask and, like you say, donate and volunteer. And you could put that on your resume as well.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
even if you don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
So let's tell everyone, where did you end up? What job did you get? I'm sure you had 10 different offers to choose from. Which one did you accept?
So the big reveal, in December 2022, I was offered a position at WTW as Willis Towers Watson.
Okay.
And so I am now a technical assistant. and I support the brokers daily. And yeah, I'm learning lots every day. And I'm definitely getting the challenge that I was looking for. And it was all
You
worth
made
it.
it. So
Yeah.
6 months in then. So are you in insurance, reinsurance, like both?
I'm insurance. So
Okay.
I'm on the placement side
Okay.
of insurance. So we're kind of like the middleman between the insurance carriers here in Bermuda and the clients that are based outside of Bermuda.
Wow. So how does it feel? Is it a good move? Are you glad you made it?
Yes, I couldn't be happier. I have a supportive team that answers all my questions. The organization WTW is really great, and I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. Awesome. So any last kind of piece of advice for our job seekers or anyone else in this space from your personal experience? And I have to say that, we're talking about this like it's kind of easy to do. I mean, you did come from this marketing background. You're used
Yeah.
to selling things and you just kind of switched it over like, I'm selling me now. But obviously for some people that aren't used to these things and it sounds a little bit scary and stuff, we make it sound easy, but I do feel that even though you're not used to selling yourself, just my view is just to not give up. Like, don't, all the no's and things that you get, kind of learn and grow. But I mean, you've been through it personally. So is there any other advice that you would give to people?
Yeah. As cliche as it sounds, don't give up. Don't give up. Be prepared for like a long journey when trying to get your role. And you really have to think of non-traditional ways to get noticed. One thing that I did was I had a business card. I stuck my face on the business card. I had a QR code. You link to the QR code. There's a website that has my resume and a little bit about me. I'm not saying
Whoa.
I'm not
Awesome.
saying to do that, but find something. You may
Yeah.
have a business card for your current role, but you need a candidate business card.
Yeah.
I tell people go on Pinterest and search self promotion.
Wow.
Figure out how to stand out.
Yeah. What's your value add? Why are you
Yeah,
different?
yeah, absolutely. And
That's awesome because we are in an employers driven market and it's been like this over 10 years now in Bermuda where there's less jobs, there's more people and they're in the driving seat. So you're absolutely right. Why should you give me the job over anyone else? And it's we've got to think about what we have to offer, what's of value. So yeah, I remember once a candidate was applying for a marketing role, and she told me she'd seen it in the paper. So instead of just sort of applying, she created an invitation and she dropped it off at the company with some donuts. And the invitation was to go and view her online portfolio and whatever.
okay.
Needless to say, she totally got the job. And I
Yeah.
do think in Bermuda, it's quite easy to stand out, kind of thing, So that's a great tip. Looking up self
Yeah.
promotion. Do you ever leverage? Because this is a thing that I say to people, friends and families and stuff. Like everyone knows someone that works somewhere and stuff. Did you kind of look into your network and look for internal referrals at companies as well?
Um,
Or were you keeping a lid on it, kind of being a bit quiet about what you were doing?
no, I was loud about it. I was loud about it. But I think I didn't have a lot of family in the space.
Right.
So I just met people and then people connected me with other people.
Yeah.
And one piece of advice that I did here is every time you meet someone, make sure they connect you with two more people. So
Yeah.
just cast your web wide.
You created that network.
Yeah.
I think sometimes as well, people are a bit like, I don't want to ask for favors and stuff, but I think we need to just forget all that and just ask. I think Bermuda's a great jurisdiction because everyone knows everyone. I can just ask for meetings and people are like, yeah, I'll meet with you. Whereas
Yeah.
New York and London,
Forget it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to leverage that definitely in Bermuda. And I think as long as you're pleasant, polite and professional with people.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you planted a lot of seeds and eventually the sprouting happened and the tree grew and now you're blossoming.
Yes.
And you're in a happy environment and things as well. And I know that you're also giving back to the community and helping other people. I've seen you, say, hey, speak to me, and I'll share the journey, which is absolutely awesome. So, yay. Well, it's been great to chat with you,
Yes,
Jarida.
thanks, Steph.
You're welcome. And I'm sure we'll be keeping in touch for a long
Of
time
course.
now. And thank you for sharing your experience with us.
Happy to help.